This is Mr. Everything. I'm coming at you with another one of our Filling the Voids. This might be episode 21. I've kind of lost track of my episodes, but this is going to go up on YouTube, so if you miss the show on Twitch, that's not a problem. You can always pick it up on YouTube. Now, this is me just ranting. This is me just, I got to get something off my chest. There's been a lot of hype about concept sales, and are they good for Star Citizen, or are they bad for Star Citizen, or are they good for the community, or are they bad for the community, or what have you. And I just want to add my 2 cents to that. I just want to throw that in there and kind of just give you guys my perspective, or my no, I don't know if it's perspective, but my feelings on the subject. But there's a couple other things too I want to talk about in Star Citizen and outside of Star Citizen. There's quite a bit of things going on with Mr. Everything and the First Royal Aerospace Squadron. But first of all, I just want to say that I've started role-playing my Robotech game every Wednesday night, which is tomorrow night. And I've thought about doing this for you guys. If this is something you guys want, be sure to leave comments in the on the YouTube video. Leave comments saying you want this or not, because if you do want it, I'll see what we can do about making this happen. We play at a local game store, Frontline Games, here in Clarksville, Tennessee, and Wednesday night they got a crowd. It's packed. And when I say packed, I mean probably 30 people in the store, and that's in my opinion, as having been a previous game store owner, that's a lot of guys. 30 people, and gals. I gotta give up. There's actually quite a few chicks that go to that store. It kind of is refreshing, because on Wednesday nights they not only have, every other Wednesday night they have like a Legend of Five Rings card tournaments. They have Magic the Gathering going on there. Okay, so those are the 2 main card games that I've seen played there. Then they've got Monday and Wednesday nights they've got like a board game night where somebody brings in a board game and everybody plays various different board games. And then they usually have like 3 or 4 different groups playing board games, so that's pretty cool, And then they've got a miniature room in the back, which is almost never used on a Wednesday. And then they have rooms where you can conduct your role-playing games, or your, whatever, basically, just reserve the rooms or whatever. Now, I've reserved rooms on Wednesday nights for our Robotech role-playing game. And we've got 6 people playing right now, including myself, so I guess would be 7. And I thought about maybe videotaping the role-playing sessions and allowing you guys on YouTube to kind of see my style of role-playing. Plus, you'll enjoy the story and the show, and you'll watch all the players interact with each other and the NPCs, and how they the trials and tribulations, and their ups and their downs, and their combat and all that stuff with the miniatures and all that good stuff. But we've just got started. We've only had 2 sessions so far, so you haven't really missed anything. We've made a couple of characters. Well, everybody's made their character, obviously, and that took a lot of time. And then they've gone on like 1 or 2 training exercises, which really isn't the start of the story. It's kind of like a prequel, kind of like a warm-up to the story. So if you want to see the role-playing game, let me know. I'll bring my camera with me. We'll film it, and I'll upload it to YouTube. If not, put that comment in there. Say, hell no, we don't want to waste our time with that. But that's just one thing. That's one thing that's going on. I'm still working on my Robotech miniatures and stuff, because it's a miniatures game in addition to a role-playing game. And the miniatures game, I've got all my core units finished, but I don't have all the little extra add-on units. They're not finished. And in the role-playing game, you have the world out there for you, and I've come up with some concepts and some ideas about how to engage the players into the world and things like that. And it's requiring me to acquire and put together and paint some additional models from I got some F4s, and I got a Eagle Eye, I think, and a Prowler, and there's a few other, and a Sea Stallion? No, it's not Sea Stallion. It's maybe it is a Sea Stallion. Something. And then I got like a C-17. So those are just some things that I'm almost finished with all that too. And then now Robotex releasing some new models from GHQ, and so I might be picking those up and painting those. So it's like a never-ending story. Okay, so that's enough of that. What's the background? Let's get back to Star Citizen. Okay. I've been on the forums, I've been on some videos, and I've seen or heard, read, heard, whatever, a variety of different people commenting about concept sales. And my biggest gripe is, and I call it a gripe, it's not a complaint, it's a gripe. You know the difference? A gripe is when you bitch and you don't have a solution. But okay. So it's a gripe about the people that make these comments about how the concept sales are hurting Star Citizen. And I disagree. First of all, I want to say I disagree with that. I watched this one guy's stream. I don't know if I should use his name, but I'm not going to use his name. But I watched this one guy's stream, and he said that he loves Star Citizen. He thinks he's fully supporting Star Citizen. He's a big backer, and he wants to play the game, and everything's cool. But he thinks that by creating concept art and selling it to the public as a future ship, which that's what they're doing, is a money grab, right? They're trying to grab money. And he says that negatively. And he says, like, they're just trying to get more money. They've already got enough money. They've put, they have all the employees they need, and all they need to do is put them, instead of making concept art, what they need to do is fix the bugs in the game that's already in the game. And then I watched this parody, which is funny as hell. About this, I think he might be Mexican, Telemundo or something. I think it was a Mexican TV talk show, and this guy gets on there and he he's laughing and giggling and speaking, and somebody puts some subtitles on there for you, kind of like what I've done with my Russian recruiting video, but he puts on there that that they're just grabbing money. They've got all the money they need, and whenever they need to pay a bill, all they got to do is ask their artist to draw a picture so that they can sell it for millions of dollars. And he says it's funny because I can relate. Because I'm familiar with what's going on in the game world, right? And this game specifically. But the underlying tone of the show, of that parody, is he doesn't feel like, this is kind of the impression that I get from the guy, because you don't waste time making a parody like this, because it's a parody with a message. So his message was, when are they going to make this game? They've already made enough money, and they're constantly putting out concept sales. Okay. So these are the two main videos that I watched, and then I read it on the forums that people are saying stop making it, start fixing the bugs and stuff like that. Okay. Well, first of all, if you I'm not the kind of guy that would call someone else an idiot or misinformed, or I just listen to their view, and I agree or I disagree, and then I share it. Well, first of all, I disagree. Because first of all, I thoroughly enjoy Star Citizen. I think Star Citizen's it's my #1 game that I have on the computer. I might play a lot of other games like Mass Effect or War Thunder, or I'm looking at my screen here, Marvel Heroes or Men of War, or even the Heavy Gear game that I'm backing right now. Because I'm backing 2 games. I'm backing the Star Citizen. I'm also backing Heavy Gear. Star Citizen is way far beyond these other games. These other games are just, that's another subject, which I might continue on at the end of this, but those games are just my appetizers for the meal, the main course, which is Star Citizen. So they're just filling my void. They're just filling my void until Star Citizen comes out. So, okay, having said all that, I think they're wrong. I love Star Citizen, and I compare Star Citizen to a AAA title game. Even though there's not a studio that we all love, like EA or Activision or Blizzard or somebody like that. There's no big, huge mega corporation that's running Star Citizen. It's really, I mean, if you get down to it, it's really just an in-home, in-house kind of project. Chris Roberts didn't start with a huge bunch of people. He started with like 24 people, like 20, 30 people. That was his studio. I mean, that was people he knew. He called them up personally and said, hey, I'm doing this thing. Can you come on down? Maybe we'll make some money. Maybe we won't. Whatever. Right? Okay. Well, they did, because didn't have anything better to do, I suppose, or they really liked Chris, or they really trusted his vision, and so they signed on, right? Okay. I'm going to extrapolate a little bit here, and you're going to have to try to follow me if you can. Okay. And I think most people that are watching this video, if you watch this video, you're probably not stupid. You're probably educated. You're probably smart. You probably can piece things together. Okay, so I'm just going to throw out some numbers, and you can kind of piece this together. Okay, now I haven't looked today, but the last time I did look, because I don't care, I really don't care about this number. But if they're sitting at $84 million, okay, that's nothing. That's not enough money to make this game. It's not. Chris has said originally to make Arena Commander, basically just only Arena Commander, just a dogfighting space game, was going to cost him $24 million approximately. And what he was going to do is the Kickstarter, try to get about $5 million or so, $6 million I think, maybe. And once he got that from the Kickstarter's backers, he would present that to some big companies or big deep pockets that were willing to back him up on this. But they told him they wouldn't back him up unless he could prove that there was a market. Well, he blew that out of the water. I got into it when it was only 16 million. So, but by that time, it had already expanded beyond just the arena commander. It was just the module, right? They said they were going to have a persistent universe. They were going to have a first-person shooter. They were going to have all different kinds of like multi-crew ships. Not original. Multi-crew ships. They were going to have, you know, boarding actions and all that stuff. And when I saw that start to pile into the game, that's when I said, ooh, I'm going to back, right? So I started throwing money at it. Okay. Well, because now that game is not just a dogfighting game. I could dogfight all day long in 100 different games. I wanted it all. You know, I'm the kind of person that wants everything, and so does Chris. Chris wants everything too. So when he saw that he was going to make the 23 million and get past the 23 million, he said, "Okay, let's start putting everything in the game that I really, really want to put in the game." And so when he started doing that, people said, "Oh, you got feature creep, or you know, you're just adding features that are never going to be completed." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, come on, you stupid people." Okay, sorry, didn't mean to say that. Okay, so, but when you, okay, how do I say this? Let's take a more recent game that a lot of you are familiar with, and has nothing, not even a sliver of the scope that Star Citizen is. Destiny. Okay, Destiny's a cool game. Don't get me wrong. It reminds me a lot of like Halo or Call of Duty, or you know, I say that like Call of Duty. Okay, but still, Call of Duty's fun. Halo's fun. Destiny, I never played it. Could be fun, right? Those are fun games. They're not sandbox games. They're not games where you can run around and pretty much do anything you want, anywhere you want, whenever you want, you know, and then you're not flying a bunch of ships and doing first-person combat and doing economy and, you know, social module. You're not doing it, you don't have your hangar and all that stuff. Like, just using Destiny as an example. I want to use that one as an example. You have a ship. Right. You don't get in it. You get beamed, like your being gets beamed, because the ship can't even be big enough to carry a person. So it's like your consciousness is inside the ship. And you fly around where? Inside the solar system, right? You fly around to Mars and the moon and Venus and things like that, right? So there's probably about 20 maps. Okay, there might be more. There might be more, but I'm just saying there's probably about 20 maps. You do buy stuff at shops and stuff. Like when you go back to the hub, you go in and you like spend your money and you get your better laser rifle or whatever. But it's not like buying cargo and carrying it to someplace else and selling it or something like that. You don't have any of that. You don't have the open world environment. Yes, there's multiplayer maps, and yes, there's interaction between players, because when you're in the hub, you can talk to people and stuff, and if you've got friends, you can chat with them and things like that. And you can go on multiplayer missions, co-op, and things like that. That's cool. That's Call of Duty / Halo / Destiny. Okay, I'm using this one as an example. The mega corporation that made this game, is it EA? I think it was EA, right? How much of the money that went into developing this game went to EA? And then their corporate executives / marketers / retail distributors, all that, right? How many packaging, you know, because the little plastic Destiny Xbox game packaging or whatever, how many dollars went to that out of the total of the game? I'm going to say I don't know the numbers. I do not know the numbers. But I bet you it was at least half. At least, if not more than that. Based on what kind of game it is, it probably cost them about $100 million to make the game. So if it costs, because it's not really that, it's not all that. And so if it cost you like $100 million to make the game, they said, and it's documented somewhere, that Destiny cost over $500 million to make. Well, that's because they had to pay the marketers, they had to pay the corporate execs, they had to pay the bank, they had to pay. There's a lot of output that Chris does not have. He doesn't have a lot of output. So what a lot of people are saying is, oh, he's got 83 million, he's got too much money. Okay. I look at it like this. Imagine that 83 million, double it. 160? We'll even go 170 million. That's still not 500 million. And it's still not, and the game's supposed to be 100 times better than Destiny. Okay? So I'm not a financial genius, and I'm not in touch with how much money Chris is actually getting. What he's taking home, and I'm not in tune with like how much his salaries are on all of his little employees. But when I watch Reverse the Verse and they talk about the struggles, you can pick up on this. You can kind of pick up on this where they struggle to pay their bills, which I know everybody in the world, even a millionaire, struggles to pay his bills. I mean, it's just the more money you have, the more bills you have. So I understand that, but they're talking about burritos. I don't know if you watched Reverse the Verse, but they talk about some nonsensical stuff. But if you listen, you hear them. I hear them. So they're making, who knows what they're making. They're probably not making as much as they should be, but they're probably making more. They're enjoying what they're doing, and that's what's motivating them to do what they do, and that's a good thing. But Chris has got over 500 employees spread out all over the world. He's got studios all over the world. That costs money. You can't just open a studio in Frankfurt, Germany for free. They've got to rent the office space. They got to get the computers in there. They got to set up the communication infrastructure. All that. And employees, they got to get that German office probably has to have an HR rep. I'm just saying. They've got, and then they got the British group, and then they've got and now don't get me wrong, the German group and the British group, Austin and LA, I think are the only internal actual CIG employees. I think like the Canadians and the guys in Denver and the guys in Mexico and the guys there's two guys in Canada, Denver, Mexico. Those guys are all contractors. So they're basically working for, they have their own company that is hiring their services over to Chris, right? And CIG. So, but either way, but Chris still has to pay all those people because he's got to pay those companies, and then he's also got to pay his own employees, and that doesn't come cheap. These guys are there at least 5 days a week. They're there, they're working 40 hours a week, basically, probably more, and they're probably not cheap. The developing programmers are probably, they're not slouches. And then the actual the bare bones, maybe the QA and maybe the what's that customer service. Yeah, they might be hourly. Everybody's probably hourly actually, but and I'm not trying to go into that, but I'm just saying that they are making. I don't think they're making enough money, is what I'm trying to say. I think they're they're probably making a good amount of money, and he's probably squirreling some of that away, because guess what? When the game comes out, and it's out, let's say it's out, and it's a year after it's out, then what happens? Are we just gonna close the doors? Say, thanks for all the money, thanks for all the fish. No, he's gonna say, let's keep the doors open. How are we gonna keep the doors open? Because the money's not gonna be flowing in like it is now. People are backing the game. They're backing it. They're backing a dream, and they're providing him with more than enough money to make the game. Even though he's already said that with his current vision, he needs about 120 million, and then after that, it would be gravy. And what I look at as gravy is longevity. So when he stops with the concept sales, because there's 100 million ships already available for everybody, and he stops with there's no more modules to release because we've got them all already. When the first-person shooter comes out, and the dogfighting module's out, and then all of a sudden we get a persistent universe, and we're running around making change, and then and then all of a sudden he flips the switch, and we're now in the universe, and it's beta, and then we go to alpha. We go to the actual release of the game. Sure, they're going to have weekly releases, patches, and updates. Absolutely, every other week at the least, right? That's what he promised. Well, how is he going to do that if he has no employees? He's got to pay them. Where is he going to pay them from? Your monthly subscriptions? There's not going to be a whole lot of monthly subscriptions. That's an old school model of MMOs. They don't do that anymore. You don't find a lot of MMOs that have monthly subscriptions. And even the ones you do, that only lasts for the first year. And that's just to kind of pay the bills. And then after that, it goes to free to play. And everybody's free to play. So if you're free to play, how do you pay the bills? Well, you have little microtransactions. Like, oh, you want this jacket? Okay, well, you can buy this jacket. It costs you $2 here or $3 there. Sure. And he'll make a little bit of change. It'll be very minor, but it's not going to be enough to keep the doors open. He's going to have something bankrolled, something put off to the side. And that's where the money that's coming in now, a lot of it's going to development. Don't get me wrong. A lot of it, almost every bit of it's probably going to development. But when he has a concept sale, and I say him, but it's really the whole company. When he has a concept sale, don't freak out and say, "Oh my God, he's trying to get more money." Of course he's trying to get more money. He's stupid not to. Of course he's going to try to get more money. He wants the thing to be open. He said he hopes that it's open for 10 years or longer. Okay, so how long has World of Warcraft been around? They've been around a long time, and so Star Citizen could also do that. World of Warcraft is really set the bar, but I this is me talking about another subject, but I think the World of Warcraft being in a fantasy setting with knights and panda bears and goblins or whatever, I think that appeals to more ladies because that's more of a emotional adventure, where Star Citizen's more analytical. It's more one-track minded, and that appeals to more men. So more gadget guys, gadgety kind of stuff. Guys like gizmos and girls like clothing. But we'll see. We'll see how it works out. But I don't really think there's that many girls playing Star Citizen. There's probably there's probably 100,000. No, that's not even probably that many. 50,000? Maybe. Okay. So my point is, he's trying to don't consider these. Okay, the concept sales. Let me get back to that, because that's really what this topic of this little video is. Concept sales. Chris already knows what he wants. He's known what he wants for the last 3 years, over 5 years. He's known what he wants in his game. And he knows every ship, every class, every kind of nuance you can think of. Chris has probably already thought about it. So when they say, hey, we're going to have this new mining ship, it's called the Orion. I'm just using that as an example. We got this new mining ship, it's called the Orion. Chris already knew he was going to have a mining ship. He might not have known the name, he might not have known what it's going to look like or how it's going to work, but he knew that he's going to have a mining occupation in his game, and it's going to have mining, and he's going to mine, and they're going to mine, right? He already knows this. He already knows all the different occupations. He's got a vision. Now he's working with some persistent universe people to put that together and make it actually a reality. But the ship, the Orion, didn't know the name, didn't know what it was going to look like, but he knew it was going to exist. And he knows that this next ship's going to exist. And he knows the next ship's going to exist. He already knows that. And even when he was doing the stretch goals, they weren't technically stretch goals. I mean, people get excited about the stretch goals. They are not stretch goals. He already knew all that was going to be in the game. It might not have been day one. It might not have been year one. But it was eventually going to be in the game. And he knew that. What those stretch goals was, what do you want to see first? You know, a lot of them were pick and choose. Like, hey, you know, like, okay, just as an example, go look at the weapons stretch goal. There was this poll that they did for like 20 different weapons. Autocannons and lasers and all other things that go zap. Okay, check that post. There's like 20 different weapons. Guess what? We got to pick one. Hey, this is the one weapon we want in the game. You pick it. They say, oh, guess what? The Barracuda. Tarantula. The Tarantula wins the poll, right? Yeah, we're going to have the Tarantula in. Guess what? All those weapons are going to be in the game. The Tarantula was just the first one released into the game. That's all that is. Those weren't stretch goals. Those were like, what do you want to see first? That's all that was. Because he's already going to have all that in there. So when they come out with a concept, all that means is they're now sharing it with you as the backer, as a potential customer. They already know they've got it. They're like, well, let's just say the next concept sale is going to be for a Banu fighter. Let's just say. Guess what? The Banu fighter is probably already on his chalkboard somewhere. He's just letting you know, hey, we got this concept here. What they're basically saying is we finally got time. Our artists finally had an available time slot to draw it. What it could look like. And even then, it's not necessarily guaranteed to look like that. Sometimes they're gonna look like the Banu Merchantman. It went through like 15 different. Oh, not even that. The Carrack went through like 15 different designs before they settled on one. And the Starfarer. Oh my gosh, I've got like, when I went through the jump point with the Starfarer in it, there's like 150 pictures of different Starfarer concepts. And so Chris said, nah, this is too wide, this is too tall, this is too fat, this is too long. That's good, because he already knows. He already knows what he wants. He just wants the concept to kind of fit into it. Still going on the concept. Here we go. Concept artists are not programmers. A concept artist does not fix bugs. So when people are saying, why do you have another concept sale when Arena Commander's missiles still are bugged? Because their bug smashing group is probably smaller than it should be, honestly. They probably should have a whole team. They probably do have a team, but it's probably not big enough. They probably need, and that's probably why they're hiring, and that's probably why they need money, because they need people to bug smash, you know? The bug smashers are the guys that go in and they evaluate the tickets we submit, and have you submitted a ticket? If not, shame on you. If you're complaining about a bug, you better submit a ticket. Okay, sorry. I'm acting like I work there. I don't work there. Okay, so the group that's doing the bugs, they don't do concepts. The concept artists, they don't do bugs. So you can't say, why don't you do this instead of this? What are you saying? Fire all the concept artists so that you can hire more bug smashers? You could do that, but then you'd have to. But it's better to have the artists cranking stuff out on a daily basis, because they probably are, and we don't see it. Squadron 42 probably has thousands of concept art that were thrown in the trash, you know, because they weren't good, or they just didn't meet the Chris Roberts, you know, approval. So the concept artists, and that's what a concept sale is. It's a, hey, we've got this ship, we think it's cool, you know, and we finally got a picture of it that we really like, and we want to share that with you, and to help us out make more concept ships and more stuff for the game, we're going to put a price tag on it, and it's really a donation to the game. You're donating to the vision. You're not. You can buy every ship in the game, but why are there people out there that have 100 ships? You know, why are there people out there that buy ships that they'll probably never use? Because they're supporting the game. Not because they plan to use the ship, even though they might. You never know. They'll always have a hangar, and it'll be cool to show their friends, like, check this out, I got this huge hangar. But I think the main thing is that they just want to support the game, and that's what all the backers are. Now, what I think is going on in the community is, and this is me just being a girl, I think there's some emotions going on in the community. Is my hat on straight? There we go, that's better. Sorry. ADD, I don't know what it is. No, there's a tone in the forums. If you start reading a post, you'll, and this is where I excel at. I've gone to school for this. Reading between the lines, right? Getting a tone or a feel for what someone writes, okay? Because somebody can write something. He could think one thing, and he'll write something, and it will. And as a reader, you might read it. Never mind. What I'm trying to say is, I'm going. Okay, sorry. The tone of the posts are that a lot of people are getting frustrated with the fact that there's not been any content released in months. And I don't mean a ship. To me, releasing a new ship, that's not content. A mission. Game mode. Play style, like if it was FPS or Arena Commander. So when Arena Commander comes out, when Star Marine comes out, that's going to alleviate a lot of people's frustrations, because right now they're sitting in a void of the The game is stagnant. It's not. Yeah, you can add a concept sail, you can add a ship, you can add a weapon, or you can even give us a YouTube video about some fish flying around, whatever. That's not content. That's not meat and potatoes of the game. So without getting new content, which is missions or play styles, planets maybe would be content, but only the initial group. I mean, if like let's say they release 20 planets, let's just say, and you can travel around. When they release that 21st planet, technically it's new content, but not really. Because if I've only been able to travel to 5 planets, it doesn't really affect, and if it's a planet I'm not able to get to, like the backer-only planet, which I will be able to get to, but it's not content. Content, to me, has to have more substance, like an adventure chain, the world, the universe changing in some way. Like let's say Earth was blown up. That's content. To me, that would be content. If wormholes, which are supposed to move and disappear, and you got to rediscover them again, which is kind of cool. If I discover wormhole, that's not content because they're all over the place. So if you know what I mean, like introducing a new alien race, yeah, that would be content. Introducing new, I don't know, but what I'm just trying to say is because, and I understand they're in pre-alpha and they're not really obligated to release any content. I mean, you know, they're just doing that on the goodness of their heart. But that doesn't mean I can't be frustrated. If I'm only logging into Star Citizen and I'm only playing the dogfight module, I know you might call it Arena Commander. I don't. I'm old school. Dogfight module. If I'm only playing the dogfight module, I'm already bored. I play it like 2-3 months in straight. So what did they do? Released REC. So you got REC. So the REC lets you pick new ships and new weapons, try different loadouts. That kind of alleviated that frustration for no content. It kind of helped a little bit, but after another month of REC, it's like I've already flown all the ships and I've already tried all the weapons, and now what? You know, it's like I need more content. Okay, so hopefully first-person shooter is going to be coming out in the next couple of weeks. We'll be really excited about that. That's going to mean you can actually go in 2 different directions finally instead of just one. So we can jump in planes, or we can grab our rifles. You know, and then eventually we'll be able to grab our rifles and jump in a plane. You know, so it's kind of like using this as an analogy. War Thunder. I played War Thunder like a year ago, maybe longer, and the only thing they had was dogfighting. You got in a World War II aircraft of some kind, bomber or fighter, doesn't matter. All had different kinds of loadouts and weapons and bombs and stuff like that. Doesn't matter. You're still doing one thing: flying around, getting shot, shooting people. That's it. Got bored of it. After like 2 months, I was like, oh man, this sucks, man, this is boring. Same thing with Mech Warrior Online. I played Mech Warrior Online, and I loved that game. That game was awesome, but it didn't have any content. There was like 8 maps, and there's like 20 different mechs, and they kept releasing mechs every month. And the mechs were for sale, real money. You could buy them, or you can pay in-game currency for some of them. And a lot of people thought that was a money grab. Well, of course it is. They're trying to pay their bills. But the content was the problem. It was the same thing over and over and over. You're just getting in a mech, you're just blowing up other mechs, and it's boring. What people need, they don't need it. Some people love that, and that's all they need. There are other people, like myself, that need more than that. I need to be able to get out of my mech, or out of my space fighter, or out of my biplane or whatever I'm in and do other things. And so when War Thunder, I'm just using that as an example, started using armored warfare like tanks and more tanks, War Thunder became more appealing to me because now I could fly whenever I wanted to fly and I could jump in a tank whenever I wanted to jump in a tank. That's enough. I'm right now really digging War Thunder. As soon as Star Citizen gets the flying and the first-person shooter, I'm sure that I'll be digging that just as much, if not more. Mech Warrior. It's Mech Warrior. It's always going to be mechs. You're always going to be head-to-head. It's just boring. Got boring. There was no, like, missions. It was just, what do you call it? Deathmatch. You're on one side, they're on the other side. Every time. Boring. Boring. So, with Star Citizen getting ready to introduce the pirate mode in Arena Commander, where you go in with your buddies, co-op, and then you fly against not Vanduul, but other types of ships, that'll alleviate the frustrations people are having, but it won't eliminate them. It'll just buy a little bit of extra time for next month or whatever, because there's a lot of people complaining about, you know, nothing's going on in Star Citizen. It's all the same stuff. Nothing's changed. And so, because of that, okay, no. Here's the bottom line. It's taken me 50 minutes to get to the bottom line. Because of the frustrations, and because people don't understand economy, and the way that the corporation or the CIG is having to pay its bills, they see everything negatively. So when you see them release a concept sale, they go, oh, they're just trying to get money from me. You know, it's just more money. This game, I'm just pumping money into it. Nothing's ever happening. Well, that's kind of right, but you have to look at it from a lot of different perspectives. It's a small company. It's not a mega corporation. It's a small company. They're growing, sure. They need money to grow, sure. They need to pay the bills, sure. They need to pay a payment bill, you know, whatever. They need to pay their cafeteria workers, you know. So they need all that. If you don't want the ship, don't buy it. Don't complain about it. Just don't buy it. That's what I've done. I think I've given that company like $1,000. Might be 900, but it's right in that neighborhood, right? Over the 2 years that I've been backing. I bought ships, traded them up for bigger ships, things like that. But I got to a point where I said, wait, what am I doing? I need to back up and just stop throwing money at this company. I've done my part. That's kind of what I feel like. I've done my part. Plus, when money's tight, I can't justify spending it on a ship. But, and money is tight for me right now. So, what am I trying to say? If you want to, I strongly encourage everybody to back. If you haven't backed, definitely back. But don't go crazy. You don't need to go crazy. You don't need to throw $1,000 at it, you know. I look at it this way. If there's over 600, I think it's 700. If there's over 700,000 backers, right? And here, I'm going to pull a calculator up. If there's over 700,000 backers, and let me back that up. I'm doing it wrong. And they made over 84 million. Let's take the 84 million. Got the right number of zeros? Okay. Now I'm going to divide it by the 700,000 backers. The average backing is $120. I've given 1,000. Some people have given 40. Okay. I know there's a lot of people out there that have backed a lot more than $120. Don't feel bad if you're only paying $40 to buy an Aurora and get into the game. You're helping the company. They need to get to about 120 million before they start saving money for longevity so that we can be playing this game a decade from now. Otherwise, 2 or 3 years down the road, they're going to run out of money. They're going to dry up. The game's going to close. And then what happens? We go back and play Call of Duty 20. All right. Well, that was Filling the Void, my concept hype show. You might have learned something. You might not have. You might think I'm an idiot. That's okay. If you're interested in a pretty cool organization in the Star Citizen community, it's called the First World Aerospace Squadron. Please check us out. I'll include the link down there in one of our in the topic or in the comments or whatever. I'll include the link, so check us out. You can find us on the RSI website under 1RAS for First World Aerospace Squadron. And look forward to seeing you. And I'll see you in the void. Join up now. Young people are joining from all over the UAE. Join the 1st Royal Aerospace Marine Squadron and save the world. Service guarantees citizenship. We have the ships. We have the weapons. We need Marines. Like Trooper Sherpain. They're doing their part. Are you? We need you all. Service guarantees citizenship. Want to know more? The 1st Royal Aerospace Squadron is a Marine squadron first. We have a growing group and would like you to be a part of something great. We are a group who is going to enjoy being citizens, and we will be performing all sorts of lawful activities, not just the military ones. We will explore, mine, salvage, carry cargo, escort ships, and we will need shipboard Marines to defend our fleet and to be ready to board enemy vessels. Want to know more? Visit our recruiter at 1ras.engine.com. Service guarantees citizenship.